All right, it is Friday, September 26th. Another crazy story coming across the wire. This is CNBC. Money manager Howard Rubin arrested on SEX trafficking charges. So I never heard of this guy. Sometimes you'll see him on CNBC. Famed money manager Howard Rubin was arrested in Connecticut on charges of sex trafficking, transporting women across state lines for commercial sex acts. Rubin is accused of participating in sex acts with women in luxury hotels, later rented a penthouse apartment in Manhattan, was converted to a sex dungeon. Oh my God. Rubin's personal assistant, Jennifer Powers, also arrested in the case. So, famed former Salmon Brothers bond trader Howard Rubin and his former personal assistant were arrested Friday morning on charges of sex trafficking and transporting women across state lines, commercial sex acts over the course of a decade. Wow. Rubin's 70 now, participating in acts, women in luxury hotels. New York later rented two-bedroom penthouse apartment in Manhattan. It was converted into a so-called sex dungeon. So he's got some penthouse apartment in Manhattan, and little do people know there's a dungeon there. Outfitted with bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, sadomasochism, equipment, as well as soundproofing. 10 count indictment alleges. Let's see here. The equipment allegedly included a device to shock and electrocute women. Oh my God, this dude's he's really out there. During many such encounters, Rubin engaged conduct beyond the scope of women's consent, the indictment said, according to Brooklyn, New York. During many of these encounters, Rubin brutalized women's bodies, causing them to fear for their safety, resulting in significant pain or injuries, which at the times required women to seek medical attention. Indictment charges. Former Soros fund manager, Soros financier, personal assistant Jennifer Powers, 45, spent at least $1 million of Rubin's money to operate maintaining trafficking network, which lasted between 2009 and 2019. Jesus. Rubin was arrested by FBI agents at his home in Fairfield, Connecticut. He's scheduled to be arraigned Friday, federal court in Brooklyn. Let's go down here. Where's it at here? What was that? Okay. Okay, here it is. Powers. Powers is arrested at her home in Southlake, Texas, scheduled to appear in U.S. court and District Court of Texas next week. She's charged with bank fraud also, in connection with alleged misrepresentations she made to the bank while financing the mortgage for her husband's home in Southlake, Texas. Prosecutors in a letter to Judge Kuo asked that Rubin be held without bail because there's no condition or combination of conditions can reasonably secure Rubin's appearance in court as required to safety of the community. The letter noted that he had extraordinary wealth, some of which is held in accounts overseas. In 2024, Rubin had more than 74 million Cayman Islands account. Jesus Christ. I was in the Cayman Islands in 1998. Now, a lot of frauds go on the Cayman Islands. So you have shell companies. You have like 20 shell companies that lead to a door to a bathroom. Shell company, shell company. Look up some scam stocks. A lot of them are shell companies. But let me get this straight. So this guy had $74 million and he has to do all this. Can't you just get escorts, hookers, prostitutes? Like you need to do all this. This is really insane. It comes when people want control, like really control, is like he wants to do bodily harm to you. And when you're into this weird stuff, he obviously hates women a lot because he's this anger and he wants to do all this BDSM. It's really bizarre. It's out there. You need a psychologist to figure this guy out. So he's insane. And you can see right here the district court filing. You can look it up too. Let's go down further. Rubin was sued in 2017 by two self-identified Playboy models, another model from Florida who claimed they were beaten, sexually abused, and raped by Rubin in multiple incidents in 2016 in New York. In April 2022, the civil jury in Brooklyn federal court found Rubin liable for sex trafficking six women who had sued him and Powers and ordered him to pay a total of $3.85 million in compensatory and punitive damages. Powers was not found liable by the jury. Rubin is currently appealing the civil judgment. Spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office, Brooklyn, had no comment. Why they why was there a lag of nearly 8 years between filing civil lawsuit against Rubin and office obtaining criminal indictment against him? Time of the lawsuit was filed. Lawyer for the woman who sued Rubin told CNBC the U.S. Attorney's office reached out to him about potentially investigating the financier. The detention letter by prosecutor said Rubin was sued. He told a woman whom he had seen for a commercial sex from 2014 2019 that pursuant of his arrangements, a hitman was contacted on the dark web to target women who had filed civil suits against him, but he did not ultimately retain the hitman. Nice guys. He's out there. Rubin, after working as a bond trader at Salomon Brothers, also did stints at Bear Stearns and Merrill Lynch. He gained notoriety in 1987, making unauthorized trades at Merrill Lynch, which the firm at the time said contributed to a massive $250 million loss from mortgage securities. Rubin's action at Merrill, which led to his termination, in detail Michael Lewis's Wall Street memoir, Liar's Poker. Powers is accused in indictment of facilitating Rubin's commercial sexual encounters from 2011 and 2019, allegedly recruiting women, traveled to New York, and paid for their acts with Rubin, as well as managing the file from women's complaints stemming from those acts. CNBC has requested comments from Rubin's attorney, Michael Gilbert, from Powers' lawyer. The indictment alleges sex trafficking of 6 women, someone who are identified as women, are transported across state lines, the intent to engage in prostitution, the violation of the Mann Act. I don't know what that is. Rubin's and Powers require the women to sign non-disclosure agreements, what purported require the women to assume the risk of hazards, injury of BDSM encounters with Rubin, prohibit disclosure for information about BDSM, sex with Rubin, require the payment of damages in the event of a breach. This dude's insane. Rubin used NDAs to threaten women with legal consequences and public shaming if they sought legal recourse. Office said prosecutors in the letter, judge said Rubin Powers kept a stash of blank NDAs safe in the penthouse, which they required women to sign. Women were not provided NDAs. I'm reading here. Under the influence, women were required to attest that they were not under drugs or alcohol. Office said that Rubin's led sexual encounters with women. Money to pay the women by transfer from PayPal or Venmo. At the time, Power structured the payments to avoid single transaction 10,000 or more to avoid triggering reporting obligations by the bank. When you go over 10,000, it triggers the bank. Any transaction, maybe your business person, it triggers it. So if she stashed 2,004, 6, maybe that wouldn't trigger it, of course. The indictment alleges defendants spent at least 1 million of Rubin's money operating and maintaining a trafficking network. Convicted, 6 trafficking Rubin Powers each face maximum possible sentence of life in prison and mandatory minimum of 15 years in prison. As alleged defendants use Rubin's wealth to mislead and recruit women engaged in commercial sex acts, or Rubin then tortured women beyond their consent, causing lasting physical and psychological pain, and in some cases, physical injuries. I think this guy's crazy. Today's arrest should no one engaged in sex trafficking, in this case, luxury hotels, penthouse apartments that featured so-called sex dungeon, is above the law, and they will be brought to justice, Nocella said. Human beings are not chattel for exploited sex, sadistically abused, and anyone who thinks otherwise can expect to find themselves in handcuffs and facing federal prosecution like the defendants, these defendants. Wow, this dude's out there. So, yeah, this guy's the extreme, doing physical abuse, BDSM. Obviously, he has some sort of issue with women. Now, if you have a lot of money, this guy's $74 million. Why would you do this? I'd be living in the Cayman Islands right now. Like, enjoy your life. Oh my God, be getting up with no stress, walk along the beach. And if you want to hire escorts, I mean, you got money. Like, what are you doing? It's so weird, but he's into this really dark. Some people get into really dark stuff. It's like physical abuse of women, dunging, tying them up, whatever, electrocution. This is insane. Insane. Like, you start getting the weird things. Like, you see people online and you see stuff later. All these stories, like people are in like Alabama or something. He was kept in a basement for years. Like people are into weird stuff out here. Rich, poor, doesn't matter. This guy's rich, powerful, stock guy, and he's doing it right in Manhattan. This is insane. You figure how crazy this is. So we'll see. Probably more comes out with this, and maybe online people talk about this. So really crazy guy. And this in New York, all kinds of stuff's going on. This is really extreme too. You know, people get hookers, they're doing drugs. Come on. We knew this. So look at all the Wall Street movies, Wolf of Wall Street, the movie Wall Street. So this is wild. So Howard Rubin, you're going down. It looks like this is all allegedly too. So crazy story. All right, that's it. Please subscribe to Mike Cayman Trades on YouTube. Smash the like button. We're out for now. Peace.